Hey all, welcome again to Live, Love, Survive, Thrive. I'm Dr. Kimberly Hubenette, and we are talking today to a gal that I just met, and we talked a little bit about this now. Everybody has a story, and everybody that we interview here has a correlation to living, loving, surviving, thriving, as well as how does that correlate to a death of a loved one or a death of a pet or something like that. And so today I am so blessed that I found and met Randy. She is a really interesting gal that I just met, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we talked about. So, she is actually working on a movie theme. And basically, she says she's an outspoken advocate for mental health, a YouTube host of Write or Die show, and a public speaker. She's a mother of two and a grandmother and a wife. She has dealt with depression for more than half of her life, and she was diagnosed late in life with autism, CPTSD, and she could tell you more about that. And she wants to have the tools and the needs to help people to move on. She graduated from Niagara College of Community and Justice Services and completed a placement at a drug and alcohol recovery house. So she's also worked in social services, and she's been an author. And so basically, oh, the other thing is interesting. She was a twice she represented the Canadian team for kickboxing twice and earned a silver medal in 2016. Now that's kind of cool. So you've done all of this stuff. Yoga expert, chronic pain, personal coach, and you're also an author and a podcaster too. My gosh, there's so many things. Is there anything Randy can't do?
Catch a ball. Last time I played baseball, I caught it with my face.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh
I
my
can't do that.
gosh, this is so exciting to hear. I mean, Randy, I know I brushed a few things, but tell me how it was that you were attracted to being on this podcast. Because I know there's some personal things too.
Yeah, well, I love the live, love, survive, thrive because it sums up my life. I always like to say life is a roller coaster, and that's basically what live, love, survive, thrive. It feels like stages of okay, I'm living, and sometimes living means you're living really difficult times. You've mentioned a few things in my bio there with depression and being diagnosed with autism. But I also had to live through cancer, and I had to live through my kid having a lot of meltdowns because she was diagnosed with autism long before I was as a kid. And my brother, he died by drug overdose. So a lot of, oh my goodnesses in my life. But you learn to love through it, survive through it, and then eventually I feel like you get to the thriving side of things. So I feel like your terms there all sum up a roller coaster life perfectly.
Hmm. When did your brother pass away from the drug overdose?
5 years ago.
Okay, so was he an adult or?
Yes. Yeah. So he would have been, I want to say he was 37,
Uh-huh.
and
And
I would have been.
how did that make you feel? Like, were you uh expecting it, or was it just like all of a sudden that happened?
So yes and no, right? So he was doing drugs since he was a teenager. He was 4 years older than me. So I can remember days that I would see him doing things at the time, and I'm like, well, I don't know what you're doing. He was doing drugs. I just didn't know what it was because I was so much younger than him. And pretty sheltered in comparison. But and as we grew up together, I mean, he was in and out of jail. He was doing all the bad things he could to basically get the drugs. And so it wasn't unexpected because even every time there was a newspaper article or something where they'd find a dead body, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's Brandon. Because living the lifestyle that he was in, it was pretty obvious it was going to end this way. However, the day it actually happened, that was a shock. So it was during COVID, and I was just standing in line at the pool store. So we had to actually stand outside in order to have 6 feet apart. And I'm just standing there, a bright, sunny, gorgeous, beautiful day. I just stopped real quick to get the pool water checked because we just opened it. And then I was heading off to one of my personal training clients to her house to do some work. And I get this text. Well, first I get a phone call from my aunt saying, I saw a Facebook message saying Brandon's dead. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And there had been rumors before that went on Facebook saying, oh, this person's done that. And they're not. They're just people saying things. So I was like, okay, let me see. And then I look at my phone again and I have this message from his ex-girlfriend who he was still friends with. And she was the one actually that was like, yeah, he's gone. I'm bawling my eyes out. I was like, oh my gosh. So I call her. She tells me everything that happened. She gives me the phone number to talk to the person that was actually on scene because it had just happened. Like the police were there currently. So I call them. Police are so very business. They were just like, well, I'm sorry to let you know that your brother is dead.
And
That's it.
that's it.
That's it. I'm like, okay, well. So then, of course, I start crying, standing outside. I'm like, I'm crying. I text my client. I'm like, I can't come. This is what happened. She's like, oh my gosh, of course. Like, don't come. But it was coming back to your question of how did I feel? It was this complete mix of emotions because, yes, I expected him to one day die by drug overdose. But in that moment, absolutely not.
Hmm. And what about your parents? Were they around or did they already passed?
So we have different dads, but his dad is out of the picture. I actually had never met him. That's a whole other traumatic story for him. Probably led to some of the drug abuse. But my mom, it was so surreal because I was the one that had to tell her.
Oh,
So when I was talking to my brother's ex, she was saying, the police are trying to get a hold of your mom to tell her, but nobody can get a hold of her. I was like, well, she's at work. She doesn't answer her phone when she's at work. Like, unless you call her directly on a work line, but nobody really knows what that is except me. And so I was like, I will, yeah, of course I'll tell her. So silly me. At the time, I'm thinking, okay, great. I'm going to be so proactive. I called her. I said, Mom, when you get home, don't answer the phone. Don't look at your phone. Put it away. Obviously, something like that, what I've never done before. Put her in this kind of panic mode, which was not my intention. I
yeah.
was, I just didn't want her to hear it from somebody else.
Hmm.
Um, so I get home and I walk in the door. She's doing dishes. And I just pat the stool beside me. I'm like, Mom, sit down, sit down. And I'm like trying not to cry. I'd kind of slightly composed myself. Sit down. And she goes, no, because as soon as I sit down, you're going to say something bad. I'm like, but you need to sit now. Um, it felt like years had went by. And honestly, it was like 3 or 4 steps from the sink to the stool, but it felt like eternity. As soon as her butt hit the ground, like hit the seat, I was like, Brandon's dead. That's it. Just those 2 words. I couldn't say anything else. I couldn't explain what happened, just that. And then we both started bawling. And then after a good crying session, then I explained everything that I knew, which wasn't much, but it was more than she knew. And that was, yeah, also something I never expected to have to be the one to do.
Hmm. Right. Because how do you know who is going to say it? How, you right? Yeah. I I think that when my husband passed away, it was kind of a chronic thing where I already knew, and he was already, on hospice and, you know, wasn't eating and so forth. So we knew like it was inevitable, but it never really hits you until it happens. Like no
Yeah.
matter what, like if it's chronic or if it's just right now and you didn't weren't expecting it, there's always the sense of like, what do you do? You know?
Yeah, this kind of empty, okay, I know there's stuff I need to do or things that people I need to tell, but like kind of a lost feeling.
Lost, lost, no matter what. And it's okay to feel this way. I mean,
Yes.
we have to eh, like just say like to people, well, it's normal. I mean, people think, oh my gosh, I mean, sometimes there's people that feel like they're embarrassed, but to keep on crying and crying and crying and say apologizing, but there's no apology. I mean, if that's the way you're going to express yourself, that's the way you're going to express yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and you're gonna, I know I did, and I think a lot of people experience the same thing. You express yourself in many different ways over the course of many different days.
Hmm.
Like with Brandon's death, because it was again expected and yet unexpected, um, there was the obvious grief, the obvious sadness that encompasses losing someone, but there was also anger. There was definitely, I was pissed off at him. Because again, yes, I figured he would end that way, but there's always a hope when somebody is in an addictive lifestyle. When you love them, you have a hope that they're going to choose something different, that they're going to wake up and say, I decide to get sober today. I've realized I have a problem, like something, right? And once they're dead, well, that hope is gone. And yeah, there's some anger there. And then you mix in that some um guilt as well. Could I have said something different? Should I have said something different? What if things didn't go this way, right? And there's all this what ifs. Ultimately, I mean, it's their life. And yes, you can support them and love them, but it is a decision that they have to come to on their own. But there, you go through all of those cycles, especially like with my mom, and I had to listen to her go, "Oh, well, was I an okay mom? Did I do this?" And like she's going through our childhood. I'm like, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. And I was expected, I'm the strong one in my family. So I was expected to make a lot of decisions. So I went with my mom to the funeral home and they're asking us questions and I'd look at her and she's just like lost. That complete grief lostness. And I was like, yep, okay, we'll do this. Or yep, that sounds good. These flowers, sure. Because she didn't have a lot going on. Like her mind was just gone. Um, I couldn't imagine the grief of losing a child. Very different, I suppose, than losing a sibling. And
Hmm.
so it was, you're going to experience every kind of emotion. And then when you feel a happy moment, it's like, wait, but I lost somebody. Am I allowed to feel happy right now? And yes, you are. And then in the next second, you'll also feel sad again.
So, being the sibling, what stages did it look like for you? What helped you move through it?
So writing the book Goodbye Too Soon was a big help, and therapy was a big one. And my husband, he listened to all of my nonsense, of course. And animals are fantastic. Loving on them. But I would say the biggest things were, yeah, writing the book Goodbye Too Soon. I wrote it very shortly after his death and published it on the 1 year anniversary of his death. And the purpose of the book was to show that people with addiction are people, and though we love them, they still might die, and we're going to go through all of this grief stuff, so it's a lot in there. Recently, my publicist suggested that I re-release the book with new content because of the movie, and so that just came back out last month, June 20th, because it would have been his birthday, so that's why I picked June 20th. And I dug way deeper because through that 5 years between the first book and well, 4 years really from the published date, but through that time, I was able to go to therapy and learn a little bit more, do some introspection and all that stuff. So the book delves so much deeper into helping people coping strategies wise and understanding some of that grief. Like we talked about, you're going to have so many emotions, and going deeper into that for that book, which then helped me really write the script for the movie that will eventually come out.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, you're an inspiration because all the things that have happened to you, it just seems like everything is working out for you.
A lot of therapy, lots of antidepressants, and and from therapy realizing who I am as a person and cutting out people that don't support me. I realized that there was a lot of people in my life that I'm like, why was I friends with this person for so long? When really, when I look back, they were just kind of holding me down, not wanting to let me kind of choose my own path or whatever. You know how you support a friend. I look back and go, oh no, why did it take me so long to realize? But I could not have done that without a lot of therapy and actually my husband. But I don't want him to hear that I'm saying nice things about him. You know.
So, was this your first book?
No. So I published my first book in 2018, which was called Thoughts of a Wanderer, a book of poetry that I wrote when I was super depressed as a teenager, because it's all about mental health. And then from there, I've written quite a few other books. I did one called A Mother's Truth, which was about raising my kid with autism, embracing me, about depression. And then I did some kids' books because mental health is hard and we got to make it fun sometimes. So I have some kids' books, Woofy the dog, where my kid actually does the pictures for those. There's two published Woofy books right now that she did the pictures. The third one's written and she's taking forever to do the pictures. But it's a nice little project together. And Neo's Forever Home, Diamond the Cat. It's a theme. I really like to do animals.
I see. I love animals too. I've had three dogs in my adult life. And then in my childhood life, I had like a few cats, a few dogs. And, I've grown as a pet owner from not really knowing because my parents were not really that great with pets and we would keep the dogs outside. I didn't know any better. And then the little ones, I had one little chihuahua that they let inside. And then we had a bunch of feral cats that we were feeding and all this kind of stuff. But now, as an adult, my late husband was the one that taught me how to really love a animal as a family member. And at first, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this big dog's going to be in my house. Well, I've had, a lab, a pit bull mix, and now I have another pit bull mix, and I just love them. They're like
Yeah.
my family. They get to be everywhere with me. And obviously, I train her, but I also have a dog psychologist that I take her to so that,
Oh,
I talk to her and I stretch her out and talk to her with my hands and all this kind of interesting things.
oh,
And
that's neat.
I had one when my husband passed away in 2019. He had a dog named Roscoe, and Roscoe was his dog. Like every day he'd be sitting by his side. And when my husband passed away, Roscoe was so depressed. That's when I found the dog psychologist. And he kept looking at me, staring at me. And then I sat in Mark's chair one day and he was looking at me like, what the hell are you doing sitting in
Yeah.
my chair, in that chair?
Yeah.
Where is Mark? You know what I mean? And then I
Yeah.
just knew I had to find something for him. And so I took him to the dog psychologist and he got happier, but he never like really, recovered.
Yeah.
He died from a, a sad heart, a depressed heart.
Oh,
He
I
did.
know it breaks my heart for animals. So we have two dogs. I was about to say three. So we had Freddie. He was a black lab. He died in April. And oh my gosh, it's just so heartbreaking. And so as I think about, getting older, I'm like, I don't want to have a dog when I'm like 75 or whatever, because when I die, I don't want them to be sad because I know how sad I am when they die and I can sort of understand it. And oh, so when it was Freddie's time, because you could tell, and oh my gosh, it's so heartbreaking. But when it was, we did it at home. So we had the vets come to the house and they were the kindest people. Oh my goodness, they were so sweet. And in that way, after when it was all said and done, we let the other two dogs. So we have a Shepherd Husky, so a nice big dog. He's the puppy of the house, and then we have Daphne, who grew up with Freddie the whole time. They came from the same dog trainer, because Freddie was actually my daughter's service dog, and Daphne fell in love with Freddie when they were there. Like they were just the best of friends. So we say Daphne was our freebie because nobody else wanted her. They kept returning her because she was so loud. She's a beagle.
Mm.
And we're like,
I
well,
heard
all right.
beagles always bark.
Oh my gosh, all the time, and they have these tiny little claws and all the time. But she's a sweetheart. So we got her along with Freddie just because they were such close friends. So she's 13 now. That's how old Freddie was, 13, and Zen is just like 3. He's just a pup. And so afterwards, we let them come downstairs so they could sniff Freddie and understand that he didn't just disappear, that he died. And it was so hard. I mean, the whole thing was heartbreaking, but then watching, I mean, Daphne was kind of oblivious. She's not the smartest dog. But Zen, you could tell that it was, yeah, it's so heartbreaking. I mean, you're going through your own grief, and then, my kid is crying, my husband's crying, the dogs, if they could cry, they're crying.
Yeah. Yeah. The other question that I had is, how has your pain turned into purpose? And are there ways now that you're serving others because of your journey?
Yes. Well, I mean, I think I summed that question up already a bunch, but I will always talk more about my books.
Okay.
So I would say the big thing of turning my pain into a purpose is writing what I write. And this is why I do nonfiction, because I feel like now knowing what I know, heck, I wish somebody would have told me this stuff a long time ago. So I figure if I share my story, then other people will go, oh, I'm not all by myself. Other people have dealt with this and felt this way. It's the same reason I started my podcast, so Write or Die Show, and it started. Well, we've been going for 5 years now. Actually, it's just pretty cool. Um, and just like you, it's just a conversation that I have with people, and they share their mental health journey, and I learn lots and interject, and it's a lot of fun to talk to people from all over the world because you can really see that mental health, which includes grieving, um, mental health affects absolutely everybody. Does not matter where you live, how old you are, none of that. And it's really nice to know that everyone experiences something similar. I mean, it sucks sometimes to deal with the stuff we have to deal with, but it's really nice to know that it's a worldwide thing, a human experience that we can all share no matter where we are.
Yeah, I always tell people there's two things in life. We're born and we die. And in between is our own personal journey.
Exactly. And I love that human experience that we can all share together.
So is there anything like what practices or habits or something that you want to share that helped you transform?
Yeah. So like I said, therapy, but more importantly, being honest in your sessions. I didn't realize how many people held back when they actually went to their sessions because I mean, I'm paying a lot of money to go this person. Why would I lie? It happens a lot. So a big practice is preparing yourself to be completely open. Don't waste their time. Don't waste your money before you're ready to actually be open with them. And then yoga's a great one. Actually, after my brother died, I remember doing because it was like it was June. It was, well, May. It was May. It was a gorgeous day out, and I remember I was in the backyard. I was doing yoga, and I just start crying. I'm in down dog, and I'm just bawling my eyes out because it releases everything. Um, so yoga is a really helpful one. And I mean, writing, you don't have to necessarily write a book that you publish, but journaling has been proven. There's lots of research to back it up. And I would say of my 300 guests, 90% of them say journal. Journaling is such a big help. And so that's, again, I go back to that. It's huge. And animals, pets. Pets are the best. So walking the dogs, because it gets you into nature, especially like I love my cats. They're very snuggly. They're also very bossy. But when you have a dog or say a horse, because I also ride horses, um, they force you to be outside. So you're getting the love of an animal, which is always a helps your happy hormones, but also you're forced into nature, and nature also releases those happy hormones, and you're forced to move, you're forced to be active, whether you're just say grooming a horse or you're actually walking the dog, you're forced to physically move your body, and again that happy hormone, so it's like the trifecta of them.
Mhm.
um it's so important, so that's the best one I would say. And then the biggest part of it all is accepting that life is life and sometimes it sucks, and we can figure things out together with people who care about you. And there's always going to be at least one person, and that person might end up being an animal, but there's somebody out there.
I have a question for you, and this might be odd,
Mhm,
but you said you have autism. You've been diagnosed
mhm.
with that. What is it that is your autism? Because looking at you, talking to you, and you know, I don't see it. I don't.
I'm really good at masking, right? Super good. I can hold it together for a good hour conversation. So for instance, I have my little fidget down below.
Okay.
When I'm playing with things and I'm rocking back and forth in my chair,
Mm.
that helps me focus on what you're actually saying. If I was to sit here and I'm not, I don't usually look at the screen, which sometimes you can tell on camera and sometimes you can't. But usually I'm looking off in the air or down. Like I don't usually look at people, which is another pretty big one. Just you can't tell as much on screens. Um, and social cues is a really big one for me. So again, you're asking me nice direct questions, which I love, but some people sometimes in interviews or in life very broad questions are asked. I don't know how to answer a broad question. I need a specific question and specific direction on what to do. And again, going through lots of therapy and learning, and I mean, growing up in the 90s, you figured out how to fit in or you got made fun of. So I'm really great at masking, but if you were to hang out with me for longer than an hour, you would eventually see it.
Because they say, okay, there's high functioning and low functioning. I'm just saying that, and
Yeah.
if I didn't know this about you, I wouldn't even.
And that's why I like to share it, because it's such an array. So I personally hate the terms low and high functioning, and I've hated them long before my diagnosis, because people would use it to describe my daughter as well. And they would be, well, she's high functioning. I'm like, that's because you're having a conversation, and yep, she can definitely talk to you. But if you get to know her, she's actually very low functioning skills wise, like life skills wise. So I always like to think of it as multiple skills. So like you have your social skills, and then you have your life skills, your hygiene skills, um, friendship skill. Like everything is different, and within each of those skills you could be somewhere on there. So you might have one thing that's really high and one thing that's much lower. So what, there isn't one overarching low or high. Technically my diagnosis lands me in moderate, but yeah, it's very specific to each skill in it. And autism, to look at it, a lot of times we think of, like hand flapping, or potentially either overly intelligent like Rain Man or really not smart at all. But majority of autistic people, we're just we're just kind of in the middle. We're just here, but we have trouble identifying certain social cues, or um, keeping up with everybody else, or noise is a big one. So I was actually at a business meeting the other day, and they're passing the microphone around, and then this one person gets on the mic and his voice is just booming, and I immediately cover my ears, which looks really rude. However, it was so loud. I was like, no, I have to. So I keep these they're called loops, like the brand. And so when I'm somewhere that's really loud, like we were at a restaurant the one day, and a live band started halfway through our meal. We try to avoid restaurants if they have a live band. We didn't know what was happening. So halfway through they started, so I get them out and I put them in instead of holding my ears. I've learned that that looks really rude, but if I have the little things that I put them in, it calms all the noise right down. So as you get older, you just learn those coping strategies to make it look like you're not autistic when really on the inside you're just holding it all together until the moment you can go, okay, I'm just with my husband now. I can just let it out.
Yeah, because you got married, you have a kid, you're doing these books, you're coaching, you're doing yoga, you're gonna make a movie. That is exciting. You're my hero. I want to do all that, you know?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you.
What does live, love, survive, thrive entail for you these days? And is the book or the uh all of your books, are they nonfiction or fiction, you said?
Majority are nonfiction. I do have one scary stories, which is definitely fiction, and then I mean the kids' books, but all the kids' book kind of land in the world of nonfiction too, but for kids.
Hmm. Because it helps the the person get into the story and
Exactly.
understand it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, um, I wrote a couple books, and the first one also, it was sort of about me, but not really about me. And I
Yeah.
did, embellish certain things. And one day, at my dental office, a patient came in and he says, "Hi, Sophia." And I was like thinking, who the heck does he think I am? And
Is
then I
that your character?
realized it was my character. I was like, oh my God, he's telling me he read my book.
Yeah, I
It
love
took me
that.
a while to just like flip and go, oh,
Yeah,
it was
I
kind
love
of like,
that.
oh, neat.
Right? Yeah, with turning the book into a movie. So the book is very this is what happened, matter of factly, whereas the movie, because it's going on the screen and you want to keep people's attention for it, there's certain scenes that I've changed and adapted. So like the theme is all there, and it all follows kind of what happened, but you have to make it a little bit more entertaining and emotional when people are viewing it as opposed to reading something that they know is nonfiction. So yeah, I've got a few of that. I asked my kid, I was like, hey, what you want your name to be in the movie? So she picked her own name.
Okay,
So
so it is about what? Can you tell us what it's about, or you
so
can't?
it is about my brother's death by drug overdose.
Okay.
And it goes through the entire grieving process of experiencing loss of somebody by drug addiction. Because I mean, loss is loss, but I feel like with the drug addiction part, there was this other whole component of you were supposed to get better, but then you didn't get better, and what happened, and there's this guilt and all of that. So it is about that, and it follows right from when I get told. So remember how I said I was in waiting in line at the pool store? So I've changed it where I'm walking the dog. So like little changes like that because it's going to be logistically easier to film that than trying to find a store and people to wait in line and all that. So and originally when I started the script, Freddie was the dog I had in mind because he was so well trained. But since he is no longer with us, Zen is going to take over the role. He's a little bit crazier, so we'll see how that goes, but he's going to take over the role. Um, and so yeah, just little adaptations like that, but it is definitely about my brother's death, going and cleaning out his room and seeing needles, lots and lots of needles everywhere, garbage, and like when somebody dies and you go to clean out their stuff, right? And there wasn't. What we took out of his room, what was decent, was a Bible that my aunt had given him, and one picture that he had drawn. My brother was an amazing artist. Like, I don't know, it skipped me because my kid can draw, my brother could draw, my mom can draw. I can write.
Okay.
um, and so that was it. That's what we took from his entire life. It boiled down to a singular Bible and a singular picture. And just everything else was garbage. Because like there was clothes and stuff, but they were so dirty and holes and stuff. Everything was garbage. And that hit hard. That was very difficult to be part of. So that's a huge scene in the movie because it was such a shock, and I had a bit of a meltdown. I left because it was me, my mom, my aunt, and my grandpa that were there that day. And I call my husband and I'm just like, there's nothing here. It's all garbage. How is his life just garbage? And I kind of went on and he's like, just listening, just being very patient, listening to me and crying and all that stuff. So yes, the movie is going to reflect lots of that, which I mean, I think your audience would love because it's all, living through, surviving and thriving at the end.
Are you going to be in it?
I am. I think I debated going back and forth about it, but in the end, because our budget is, it's going to be much easier if I do a part, um, which I'll probably play myself because I think it will be easiest. Um, and yeah, so I'm going to be in it. I tried to convince my best friend to play her role, but she's like, I don't think I want to see myself on camera. I'm like, okay, you can just be the cameraman then.
So you have a cameraman, you have the locations, you
Yeah.
have your cast members, you have your dog that's going to be in it. When is
Yeah.
this thing going to start working? When are you going to start filming?
So the goal is to film it probably late September, early October. That way the weather's still decent outside because there's a lot of outside scenes. So we're finishing up the storyboarding of the script probably this weekend, actually. So my best friend is actually, she's helping me a lot. She's my creative director. I keep calling her. I keep giving her different names, but I really like that one, creative director.
So are you the
Um,
editor, the author, the
the director,
producer,
the
everything?
screenwriter, and this is what independent films often are: is one person has a lot of hats.
How are we going
Um,
to find it?
so first we are going to do a premiere here where I live. So I live in the Niagara region of Ontario, Canada. So we'll be doing a film premiere. I'm aiming for a week in May. I can't remember the exact week, but it's Canadian Mental Health Awareness Week. So I
Mhm.
really want to do it that week because it lines up nicely. And then after that, we want to do some film festivals. And then ideally after all of that, it will be available widely. We haven't worked out the exact distribution. I mean, I don't know if somehow we can get it picked up somewhere because a lot of streaming platforms are now picking up more independent films. I don't know if we're going to do that or we'll release it on YouTube, or I'm not 100% sure. But if anybody wants to follow along for the journey, I'm definitely sharing all the updates.
How can we find you?
So, honestly, if you Google my name, Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, I am like the first 3 pages.
Okay.
Yeah. My website is rbwriting.ca. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all under my name, Randi-Lee Bowslaugh. So super easy to find.
I think I'm going to start following you because I want to see it. Sounds
I
good.
think you should.
And I
It's
think the listeners would love to watch it also.
right.
I never told you this, but I actually do have a brother that's been in and out of rehab 4 times.
Oh, wow.
And I always think, oh my God, is this going to be the day? Or is he okay? Or what have you? And it hits home.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened
Yeah.
yet, but I don't
Thank
know,
goodness.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So definitely follow along because I will be sharing every update as we go for sure.
Is there anything else that we have not touched upon that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, just on this line of shameless self-promotion a little bit, I would, if you do venture over to my website, there is a tab that says movie, and there is opportunities if this resonated with anybody, there is opportunities to support the movie, and you get like little credits in the movie and stuff.
Mhm.
So just throwing it out there, because again, our budget is this big. So any help is always appreciated.
What are you looking to accumulate for this? What's a budget like this worth?
So we did 2 budgets because I have put in a grant application to the Canadian Council of Arts, although I don't know, and I'm not going to bank on it because I've never written a grant application before, so who knows if it's everything they wanted. So we did a low end budget of 3,000. If we can get that, we can just squeak by and get it done. It will just be a lot more, blood, sweat, and tears. And then anything really above that would just make the process much easier. So like say we hit the 5 grand mark, the editing equipment will be that much better because we can actually outsource at that point. Whereas prior to that, we're gonna have to try and learn how to do it ourselves, which I mean, I learned how to edit and format and publish a book. So how hard can it maybe be?
Well, my office is in Sonoma, and they do have a Sonoma Film Festival.
Oh, well, then I might have to put it in that once it's all
Yeah,
ready and good to go.
there you go. One last thing before we go, I always ask my listeners, what's your favorite food topic? What's your favorite food or recipe that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, so I've been pondering this for a while when you told me that you always end with it because I hate cooking.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Uh,
well, what's your
no,
favorite place that you would love to go
so
eat?
my favorite food though is lasagna.
Okay.
And because I am gluten free, it is so hard to find a good one, that I often travel to the States because you guys have them in Walmarts. And
Oh, okay.
I can just buy some frozen lasagnas there. There are a few places here that you can pre-order and they're delicious, but then I have to think ahead to pre-order. So, but lasagna, it was actually what we had at our wedding. So
Okay. So yeah, I think I had a really good lasagna recipe, but sometimes those noodles are a little bit weird if they're not uh, wheat, but
good. Yeah.
some of them are good. I will tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the rice noodles. There's this rice noodle at the Zares grocery store we go to, which is really good for pasta. I have made homemade gluten-free lasagna many, many moons ago. Actually, before we even bought this house. So I'm talking over a decade ago. And it was delicious. I just really hate cooking. So putting it all together, I just really hate it.
Yeah. So what is a part of a normal lasagna that is gluten besides the noodle?
That's pretty much it.
That's
Everything
it.
else is generally naturally gluten-free. It's just the noodle that you'd have to switch out.
Yeah, to rice noodle or some other thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that sounds yummy, and it's dinner time, so what am I going to eat tonight? Maybe I'll make myself a lasagna or something.
Perfect.
Well, it was so great to meet you and get to know you, and I'm going to start following you, Miss Randy, or
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Randy
Yes.
Bowslaugh, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, and I totally appreciate you spending your hour with us. And I hope you have a great weekend. And listeners, please feel free to follow Miss Randy on her journey and go and get a book or two. And make it a great day. Live, love, survive, thrive. Bye for now. See you next time.